Welcome back to the WSU Democrats Podcast. Today we have an awesome episode for y'all. We're going to be talking about the new Utah congressional map that includes that blue SLC district being upheld both federally and by the Utah Supreme Court. We're going to be talking about the Olympics, and then we're going to be having a chill discussion about other issues. My name is Ethan Bishop. I'm the president of the organization.
I'm Vaughan. I'm the vice president.
Mike Ortega, campus affairs director.
And I'm Alexandria Tovar, the Women's Committee Chair.
But I did forget about something that I talked to Macy about. She posted the protest pictures on Reddit, and I guess there were some not so nice comments, so I wanted to respond to them.
Oh my goodness. In the morning, I sat with my friend Rand going through it. Oh, I read through a few.
We're about to roast these fools.
Losers.
So do you guys want to do that now, and then we can...
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
No, let's get these fucking clowns.
So this one...
People this shit up.
This one is not so much a hate comment. This is just more so just kind of criticizing us a little bit.
And this is in response to the
pictures.
of the protest guy.
That's on Reddit.
Anti-ICE, yeah.
So it's from Comrade Happy Bear. Why are the only positions the political ideologues in this country take either maximum harsh enforcement or absolutely no enforcement? Not only is this insane, clearly nobody is ever going to vote for no enforcement at all. This is literally not a winning or rational position. I'm Hispanic and I've only lived in border states until just 2 months ago, and I would absolutely never vote for a politician who supported abolishing ICE or CBP. Just a ludicrous position to take. So that's a straw man fallacy. No one is saying that we should be abolishing ICE as in we shouldn't be enforcing immigration-related violent crime, or we shouldn't be prosecuting people who commit rape or murder or are gang-affiliated and they're causing violence and crime in the United States. Literally no one is advocating for those people to be let go, or that we shouldn't, or that it's just not an issue that they're just running around, you know. And by the way, U.S. citizens commit more crime than immigrants, by the way, illegal immigrants. So it just kind of goes to show, like, we're not against any kind of enforcement. And I personally am not anti-government. I think there is a need for government to an extent. I think that we need the government. It just goes back to Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan. You know, if we don't have, you know, a common state, if we don't have some kind of force, if we don't give up something for them to have that power over us, then life is going to be harsh, brutish, and short. That's what Thomas Hobbes would say, without some kind of government keeping us in check. Right. So it's not that we want... Abolishing ICE is not...
like when we say abolish ICE, we mean ICE as the organization is now, not... Yeah, like people think, I guess radical people think, I say uneducated, they think, oh, this person has an abolished ICE sign. That means they want open borders. That means they want 1,000 Lincoln Rileys. That means that they want drugs flowing. Like, no, nobody wants this, obviously. When we say abolish ICE, it's more abolish the organization as it is now and how they're, like, handling the situation.
Yeah, no, I think it's the same thing with, like, the sort of resistance to, like, the abolish the police or defund the police, I should say.
Yeah.
Where it's a refusal to actually engage with the subjects. We're not saying we don't have these systems of law enforcement. We're saying, well, we're looking at how it's been used, not just in the Trump administration, but by Biden and by Obama, where we're separating families. We are using civil detainment as a method of punitive sort of enforcement because, you know, again, like I'll freely admit that being in this country illegally, you know, overstaying a visa is a civil offense. But civil detainment is never, legally speaking, supposed to be punitive in the way that we have always used it. Under Obama, under Biden, under Donald Trump, has always been entirely punitive. Knowing the fact that we have law enforcement agencies that can prosecute those crimes anyways.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
The FBI exists for a reason. It's to prosecute those.
Yeah, even if their leader gets laid every now and then.
Listen, even, you know, say what you will about Kash Patel. He's a fucking incompetent little...
Yeah, cross-eyed getting lit with the Team USA. I was like, all right, well, I mean... I don't think that's big of an issue.
But under competent leadership will say the FBI does exist for a reason, and it's to prosecute those kinds of offenses that, you know, don't really necessarily fall under a state's jurisdiction or might involve foreign nationals.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say before I lost my train of thought, was that it should be rolled up under the FBI and the DOJ, because under the right leadership, that actually is competent. The issue with ICE is that I don't think there should be really any criminal or investigative organization into whether someone is undocumented alone. I think there should be mass amnesty. I think there should be many programs in order for people to become legal. And I think we should be focusing on those who are actually committing violent crimes solely. I think that if someone has overstayed a visa, or, they came into the country illegally 30 years ago and they're contributing to the country and all that kind of shit, it's like they should not be deported, period. We should not be deporting non-violent people unless, I just thought of, just a weird hypothetical. Maybe if they were committing a bunch of non-violent crime, like a bunch of fraud or something, then maybe send them back. But, and that might seem like, oh, well, you think it's okay to just break the law and that kind of thing. It's like, no, but I also think I understand this. It's like, there's a really beautiful post and it shows birds and it's like, only humans are criminalized for migrating, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's because it's true. It's like they want a better life for them and their families. Is that harsh of a thing where we should be like, oh no, we need to send you back, you're terrible, we don't want you in this country, even though they contribute to our economy, they commit less crime, and it's basically a win for everyone other than the white nationalists and the people who want just this country for white people.
Their culture.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate that. I was like, it's American culture.
Yeah,
okay,
American culture is built on the backs of German immigrants, on Irish immigrants, on Chinese immigrants, on immigrants from every single part of this world.
Slaves, hundreds and thousands of different things.
Like name of like an American food, macaroni and cheese. That's a slave dish. What
Buffalo wings.
Buffalo wings.
Buffalo, New York.
Yeah,
black people.
Exactly. Like every single part of this American culture, because there is no white culture. It's American culture, and I'm not trying to say there is no white culture to be disparaging. I'm saying whiteness didn't exist before America. Like whiteness as a concept is inherently American, and that American culture is built intrinsically on the backs and with the souls of immigrants.
I think that comment kind of traces back to everything seems to be so black and white nowadays with so many issues, and you state your opinion on something and people will assume the far radical opposite. If you say you're not conservative, you're on the left, oh, you must be a communist, right? You have to be a communist. If you're anti-ICE, you must be for just open borders and no rule of law. And then also with Israel, if you're not in support of Israel, oh, then you're pro-Hamas. And it's just like with pretty much everything, I feel like the majority of opinions fall in somewhere in the middle ground, right? And nowadays we're seeing it, I think, worse than ever, where you just have, you say your opinion and someone will just assume that you are just the radical opposition, with just no wiggle room for debate or no open mind whatsoever. But that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
The divide in America is growing really big right now. Like we saw it in that documentary we saw where Obama put forth his birth certificate and everybody claimed it was fake. Well, not everybody, but Fox News sat there and was like, oh, this is why it's fake. Like that division, I don't see why, but like so many people want the nation divided. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like it doesn't help anybody. Even like rich corporate people, if America is divided, it doesn't help them at all. It fuels anger, it fuels hate, and hate hurts the economy. Like there's no technical reason, at least that I can see, for why a nation divided would be a good thing for anybody.
I think it's a good thing
like
for the techno oligarchs that run the country. And united we stand, divided we fall. And when we're all distracted, those in power will maintain power and continue to suppress any opposing voice.
And it all feeds into that. Are we familiar with a bastard by the name of Curtis Yarvin?
Oh, dude, that dude's geeked.
I recognize the name.
He genuinely thinks like.
So he's the sort of the founder of what he calls the Dark Enlightenment movement. It's a blatantly, self-proclaimedly anti-democratic movement where rather than having state governments, local governments, the United States should be essentially divvied up into multiple corporations where we should be led by a single CEO that should essentially be worshipped like a god king. And it's this whole thing where he's been in talks with Peter Thiel, who of course,
I was just gonna say I think Peter Thiel was heavily inspired by him.
Who of course is the prime backer behind J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Curtis Yarvin and JD Vance have been on like a podcast together. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong about that. But it's just like this guy started out as some like this is like pre-Groyper, right? Some like just far right 4chan internet fucking troll who was like, democracy is broken. We gotta burn it all down and have a techno oligarchic. You know, he calls it tech feudalism.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Bro.
Dude, Curtis Yarvin's geeked. He generally thinks like governors should be replaced by CEOs, and the president should just be like a board of like trustees. And it's like, that dude was out of mind.
Doesn't he believe in freedom cities that should be set up?
Yes,
you know about that? Yeah,
he's wild.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, freedom cities are basically where you have like essentially a private island, like our dear beloved Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
I can't even say that with a straight face. Where essentially, there are no laws because the territory isn't incorporated into any government or state entity. So I can't remember what I think it's in like Love, Death and Robots, where essentially the CEOs started living on oil rigs.
Oh,
right?
yeah, because that was Love, Death and Robots, where they separated themselves, and eventually it ran into that thing where they cannot eat money from, who was that? Aurora and that girl who gave in front of like the UN, where she gave a speech on how like when the last fish has been fished and like the last stream poisoned, you'll realize that you cannot eat money. Yeah. And that's how it ended up, like, that's what most sane-bodied people in mind think, okay, if we allow corporate people to do this and they continue to farm the planet and continue to hurt another, they're eventually just going to kill themselves down the line after they kill all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to note this before we move on to some other of these comments, because some funny ones. How, like, I agree we shouldn't be divided, and I'm all for unifying everyone and all. That's why I wanted to create the Democratic Socialist Committee as well as the Blue Dog Committee, but no one wanted to run the Blue Dog Committee. And I also say that any anti-Trump Republican can come on. That's also why I want to do the debate with Turning Point and YAF and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, I want to be clear, though, with being divisive, because a lot of Republicans will say that Biden was divisive, who is literally the least divisive president we've had in a long time. And basically,
like a few bad comments that obviously he didn't mean, like that. Well, I mean, that really bad one was like, "Oh, brown kids and poor kids are just the same."
Yeah, but that's not necessarily divisive. That's just
honestly, he didn't
more
mean
so
it that
a Freudian
way.
slip
It
than
was
anything
more
else.
of him slipping from his age.
But like, as far as him attacking Republicans goes, like he did this one speech. He had like red lights behind him, and he had like military.
Oh yeah, the Marine Guards flinging him. Oh, that was tough. He looked great
in Philadelphia like that, and he was warning about Trump's threat to democracy. Literally warning about the shit we see today, like how Trump, they seized a Georgia elections office, and they seized the ballots, and they seized the voting machines, and they's also trying to prosecute Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, trying to prosecute James Comey, Letitia James, just trying to prosecute his political opponents, trying to become a dictator. Trying to circumvent the courts, trying to do all kinds of stuff, pass things like the SAVE Act or different things like that. Shit that Biden was warning about that literally ended up happening. Yeah. The Republicans were like, oh, he's so divisive. He just called half this country Nazis. When he wasn't even calling out all Republicans, he would just said, he was very conservative with it, because this is actually not very accurate. He was like, oh, there's a faction of the Republican Party that is MAGA Republicans. It's like, no, most of them are MAGA. Yeah, it's like, most of them are.
Like that one guy, what's his name? That one Republican that's actually like super against Trump. What was his name?
Thomas Massie.
Thomas Massie. He's good. But even in like Biden's final speech, he gave a warning about how there's a great oligarchy forming in America and how that we, the people, need to be careful about it. And everyone's just like, oh, Sleepy Joe, going on about his crazy things like normal. And then, here we are.
Yeah, it's the one time the man has like a coherent thought.
Yeah, it's like his last few years, the few times he locks in, and then.
Sometimes he'll cook. Like I used to watch his speeches. There's a reason why he became president. Like even when he was pretty like his speeches were really good. It was actually crazy how bad he performed in that one debate against Trump, because he never performed that badly really any other time.
That whole like golf thing is like, oh, if you could beat me at golf, and like, bro, dude.
Well, fun fact, do y'all know Trump can't play golf anymore?
Yeah, why?
Because he physically cannot.
Is his hand
really?
Or what?
I don't know what it is exactly, but I can't remember exactly where I saw this, and it might not be technically verified, but he hasn't been golfing in months. Man's always out golfing. The only explanation for why he wouldn't be out golfing is because he can't.
Yeah. I remember hearing that like he took a suspiciously long break about golfing, but I never followed up on it.
because the
it was like when people were like assuming he had like blood cancer or something because his hand was like bloated.
Because I want to say in his last presidency he spent like
a lot. He took a lot of vacation
20% of his time in the office playing fucking golf.
Yeah, or other vacation activities.
Yeah, or other.
Most of the time it was just him playing golf.
Most of it was just him playing golf.
All right, now the next one from Reddit. So this is from Informal Badger 3566.
Tough.
They all look horribly unkempt, which is an unfortunately accurate representation of higher education today. Also, they're protesting to make it easier for human traffickers. Bruh.
I don't know what he's talking about, 'cause it wasn't me. I had that shit on that day.
To the first point, it was fucking snowing.
That's true. It was snowing. It was very like,
it was snowing.
It was
windy.
weather. We still showed up.
You know,
we all look sexy. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I thought we were pretty good.
Fam. They got me at a bad angle.
I fuck with those pictures.
No, they're
fire.
they're tough.
Allowing human traffickers to come in. What are they talking about?
I think they're basically talking about the human traffickers from like with the cartel and all that. At first, I thought they meant we're making it easier for the human traffickers because the human traffickers are going to find us and traffic.
I don't know. It's so weird. Like I get that bad people come into the nation, but that's not like a sign that every bad person that comes into the nation or every person that comes into the nation is bad. Like a lot you'll hear with Lake and Riley. And yes, it was an absolute tragedy, but people will say, well, why don't you have a protest for Lake and Riley? Well, the man who killed and raped her was prosecuted, arrested, and is spending, I think it was like 80 years in prison. Like, why would we protest? He was already, like, he was caught and arrested. Yeah.
And it's like when they're like, oh, well, what about like, that's
that girl
literally.
That was stabbed on the train. I forget her name. But yeah, her. They were like, oh, well, why don't you protest for her? Well, her killer was caught, arrested, and prosecuted.
Yeah, and these are just random one-off cases, whereas when you talk about ICE, it's like, as far as Trump goes, it's like systematically deporting, well, U.S. veterans, children, and people who haven't committed violence.
No violent crimes.
Not
brutalizing people.
The fact that the majority of people who are committing human trafficking are white Americans, white American citizens.
Or even bringing fentanyl, too.
Yeah, well, yeah. What is it, like 80% of the drugs that come up from Mexico are just brought in by white American citizens?
Yeah.
Yeah. And whereas, like, if your argument really is, oh, we're gonna deport these
dangerous criminals,
these individuals in cases of human trafficking, well, you're not deporting the perpetrators. You're deporting the victims.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of the people who are like victims of it that came here and then like, oh, well, let's get them out of here. Like, okay, well, it doesn't really do much.
Ridiculous.
There's still like people coming through on both sides of the border, though. Canada isn't exactly innocent on this side.
No, never.
Yeah. All right. So then Signal Stick 7875. These poor ignorant liberal sheep. I hope one day they can see how idiotic they look. Bruh. So then someone else said, ironic that they're preaching love when they celebrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Because everyone can be just lumped into that. If you didn't like him, you celebrated his death. Like,
the harsh reality is that like, humor is subjective, and everyone making all these Kirky jokes and the Charlie Kirky, like, unfortunately, a good chunk of the population finds that funny. That's why it's so prominent. It's so popular right now.
Yeah, and also, it's not just liberals making the Charlie Kirk jokes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's everyone from across the board making these jokes because, like, yes, you know what? A murder is tragic. I don't condone or support murder or assassination. But, like, when you make a meme out of something, it's gonna be funny eventually.
Yeah. And then, like, even the president, they ended up asking him like 2 weeks after he died. He was like, "Y'all still talking about that?" And that was like something. It was something along those lines. Where like a reporter's like, "How do you feel about Charlie Kirk?" And when he said this, and this, he goes,
"He's not saying it anymore."
He's like, "You're still talking about that?"
Yeah, I said I'm gonna go golfing and I'm doing great. Yeah. I think is what he said. And not to mention his official response on the death of Charlie Kirk, which this is not confirmed, but was very likely AI. The entire video was fake.
Oh,
yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
His hands look really weird in that video. I remember that.
Yep.
It's just, it was so
He
strange.
did not give a flying fuck.
Yeah. It's just like, with the death of Kirk, like, yeah, a lot of the left, and people in general, I wouldn't even say left, people in general found it really funny, and they made a lot of jokes about it. And yes, morally, technically speaking, it is bad, but Kirk wasn't well liked, which is why it became so funny. And at that, people got really creative with Kirk's death. And then people will be like, oh, well, the left celebrates violence. Well, okay, no. We, like the people down here who are just regular voters, we might have found that funny, but that doesn't mean we thought bro deserved to die. At least most of us didn't think he deserved to die.
Yeah, but these are the same folks who were celebrating the deaths of the two representatives in Minnesota.
Yep. And with George Floyd. Same people who immediately made jokes.
And they're still memeing George Floyd.
Yeah.
and then same people that were saying, Renee Good, Alex Pretty deserved it. Okay, well, you're celebrating multiple murders, and we're joining you in the jokes that you're making about this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now you're mad at us for that?
A bad truth is, I think Charlie Kirk would have generally found it hilarious.
He would have.
That episode where South Park just made fun of him for 20 minutes, he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Realistically, if he was here, he would have been laughing at all these Kirky memes.
Oh, for sure.
But the thing is, none of our leaders were saying this was okay. None of our leaders make these jokes. Like Biden, Harris, both of them, the day he died, immediately came out, was like, hey guys, this is completely wrong. This is not the way to go about anything. This is going to ruin our nation. We do not allow this. We do not condone this in the slightest. But on the Republican side, when you ask Trump about why didn't you do the flags at half-mast when those two representatives from Minnesota died, he goes, well, if they had asked, I would have done it. Motherfucker, really? Oh, you think? Well, yeah, well, guess what? They couldn't ask.
Yeah, well, and then and just as a matter of flag code, you don't lower the flag to half staff for a person who's not an elected official.
That's true. What was it for a week or 4 days that they had at half?
It was a while.
Or some mass shooting or something.
Yeah, it's either for a national tragedy, like a mass shooting.
Yeah.
And sure, the guy had a lot of fans. I wouldn't call it a national tragedy. Tragedy,
I wouldn't
yes,
call him
for his
for
his family.
Comparing him to MLK or.
I don't want to hear a single fucking person compare that man to Martin Luther King.
Well, yeah, because they have the AI generated picture of they killed me because they didn't agree with me, and it was Kennedy, Jesus, MLK, and Kirk. I'm like, dude,
do not put him in that.
Do not put him in that fucking hall.
And if anything, I really hate it when they compare it to George Floyd, because George Floyd was just an ordinary person who literally had his neck knelt on for, what was it, 18 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, it was a while.
And he got murdered by a police officer who then was found guilty, luckily, Derek Chauvin. And even Trump recognized that George Floyd was murdered. A lot of people don't realize that.
I remember, I won't say any names, but a certain leader of a certain organization on campus said that it was an overdose. I was like, okay, well then, do you disagree with the ruling? He's like, yeah, so you don't agree with our laws. No, I agree with the law. Well, the judge ruled it. Oh, it was an unfair ruling. Okay. So you pick and choose which one you don't.
Yeah.
Which, obviously everyone has their own right to that standard. But, dude, come on.
Just doesn't like that there was justice found for a black man murdered by a white police officer.
But yes, he
That's
did
all
have
he
fentanyl
was
on his
upset
system.
about.
And yes, he had done petty crimes before. And yes, he was a porn star. But none of those equate to him being killed. And especially not
if
the way
he's a porn star, good for him. What does that come into the calculation?
The Christians he's a bad person. He did. Right. I was like, okay, well, whatever. I don't really care.
They're just jealous. Someone said, was this about the Epstein files? Do you have ice, bro? It's about ice. Come on now. Someone else said the dumbest generation. And then someone said, speak for yourself.
I have one pulled up here. This one says, you guys are dense. Why the hell should we not allow to enforce... Bad grammar, by the way. You guys are dense. Why the hell should we not allow to enforce our borders? Other nations are while allowed to. At a more intense way at that, why should we allow criminals to stay in our country, especially pedophiles, murderers, and other rapists?
The pedophiles, murderers, and rapists are in the White House, my friend.
Yeah. And here's what it says about the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your hurtled masses yearning for the breath of free. It doesn't say to send the worst offenders. It doesn't say to give us all the military-aged males. It doesn't say to give us all their drug mules. So why the hell can't the United States of America have a fucking border? What is this dude on about? He had to have been high when he wrote this. Does he think Canada and Mexico and every other nation is okay, you're a rapist, you can go. You're a murderer, you can go.
That's exactly what they think.
There's no way they genuinely think that. And then these are the kind of people that will go eat Mexican food the next day. I love Taco Tuesday. Dude, what? It's just
no. Here's what you don't understand. You can come here. No, please come here. Leave your food, leave the tequila, and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's dude,
leave the Latinas.
No, because they don't even want the fucking Latinas anymore. Because look at the fucking Bad Bunny Super Bowl performance. They don't even want Latinas anymore. They would rather have Kid Rock talking about, I want to kiss my feet.
That's because they thought he was actually a kid, and then they tuned in and was like, what is this old dude on about?
Have y'all seen that video of him working out with RFK? That was the most tragic thing I've ever seen. I don't know if y'all
watched
it.
RFK just tries working out with everybody. He always just looks ridiculous.
I saw RFK and Pete Hegseth struggling to do pull-ups.
Well, and doing fucking pussy ass pull-ups, fucking using their
entire the CrossFit, carry their momentum.
See, maybe I'm feeling a little egotistical, but I genuinely think I'm stronger than both of them because I saw the video and they were doing these pulley weights. They were doing like this, and they were doing it correctly, and then they went in the sauna to do cardio with a bicycle machine, which you're not supposed to work out in the sauna because, you can have a heart attack in there because of the heat. And then immediately after the sauna, they go shock their bodies in a cold plunge, which a cold plunge is supposed to shock your body, not immediately after a sauna.
I mean, you shouldn't take fitness advice for someone who has a brain worm that's controlling them, and then the other's an alcoholic.
Well, and then the guy who was like, the one time I was on the highway, and the lady had a bear with her car, and I took the bear.
Yeah.
And then he had the whale corpse on the top of his car, and the juice was leaking in. Y'all remember that?
This is a man who has said on a podcast, I used to snort cocaine off of a toilet seat. Why are we taking medical advice from the man?
We get it. Like the point. It does look really bad if you just look at it on the. It does look really bad if you just look at it on the pictures where it showed our old health person. It was Department of Health, and then the new one, and she was an overweight lady that was on the older side. And RFK obviously looks very fit. The thing is, he is not. Just because he looks that way doesn't make him healthy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've met the man in person. He does not look healthy.
RFK?
He looks like he's falling apart.
How'd you meet him in person?
RFK?
Don't ask. I will actually.
Unhinged?
You know what? I'll tell this story publicly. Fuck it. So back in 23. Was it 23?
RFK is cursing you.
Yeah. Back in 23, when he was doing his presidential run, I was at the time putting together like a portfolio of journalistic work because I was I never ended up applying for a job, but I was looking to apply for a job at probably like the SL Tribune. So I was just putting together a portfolio of independent journalistic work, and RFK was coming to Utah. I was like, yeah, I'll go to that, see if I can, just by the grace of God, maybe get an interview with the man. And so I went to RSVP'd for the venue. The venue, there was so many RSVPs that they had to change the venue to a 21 and up venue. I was 20 at the time. And so I'm just like on the street interviewing like the people, trying to be like, what makes you want to like leave the Trump camp or the Biden or what is this Harris camp?
Harris.
Depends how early you were doing it.
Yeah. For Kennedy, and I was just getting interviews and talking to people, and then we get to the front of the line. I'm talking to this lady who also has a 20-year-old daughter, and she gets the ear of the campaign manager, and he's like, oh yeah, no, we'll bring you to a later event. And he looks at me. I've got a camera. I've got a notebook. I've got a pen. He goes, you press? I go, yeah.
Nice one.
And he's like, I bet. And so I basically got invited to a penthouse fundraiser with there were maybe 30 people in that room. Very wealthy people because I can't remember the guy who hosted it. I don't even know if I want to say his name because he's like a local public figure.
He's in the files.
Hope not. But he was like, made some joke that he contributed $400,000 or $40,000 to the campaign, and he looked around and he was like, "Oh, that's not much to the people in this room." And I was, that's more than I make in a year. That's more than I make in 2 years.
I'm a broke college student. Please give me some.
It's like, can I have some of that money, please, and thank you.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, that's perfect for this next one. Hold on. If I can find it.
How I met RFK Jr. by accident.
That's really cool.
And it was, it's something. I have a picture. I don't know if it's in my phone, of him just like playing ping pong.
Was he good?
He's all right.
Yeah, he's good at something.
You good if I go to the next ones?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so this next one is from Lanky Way 4599. They say walking out of the $4,000 classes they pay to learn from. Joke's on you. I have financial aid, and the next Democratic president's going to cancel all that shit, so fuck you.
Joke's on him. I had one class that day, so.
I didn't have any classes.
For real.
Yeah, I only, and furthering the joke, I only had one class in the time that was scheduled, and I have like 100% in that class, so fuck you.
And then unique username 2017 said, and it's like I forget the italicized, ICE agents out on roofs with binoculars reading each sign. Oh man, that's what they said. I thought that was kind of a little bit funny.
So,
like they
3 intelligence, right? Like I'm hearing.
Also, these usernames are peak Reddit.
Yeah, they're auto-generated. Mine's in there. I won't say my username out loud, but mine's in there. You can probably find my post if you skirt through a lot.
Okay, I'm gonna show Micah this. I'm gonna Fair warning, this is me pre-transition, so I look like a fucking ragamuffin.
You got to show the podcast.
No,
Wait, let me see the
experience. Oh my god.
What?
Does he do makeup before every interview? He does not normally look like that. Yo, that does not look like him.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Then someone, Eddie Alfaro, said, truthfully ignorant question here. Where did the story of Trump being a rapist come from? I keep seeing signs calling him a rapist. I don't know where this started.
So he was civilly convicted in a lawsuit of raping E. Jean Carroll. He has 27 sexual assault allegations. He's in the Epstein files 38,000 times at least. They're redacting
perpetrators.
But also with...
He's so iffy on the Epstein files. Even if he wasn't guilty, he's the worst person possible because he makes himself look guilty. Oh, you guys still talking about the Epstein files? All right, who here actually thinks it's important? The whole room raises their hand. Well, we'll see what we could do. He just makes himself look awful.
And he's admitted to all of it. Almost all of it.
Oh, yeah, he's been like, I'm walking in on the... Nothing in there that was true was against me. So, dude...
Walking in on the contestants of the beauty pageants he owned, and he owned Miss Teen USA as well. So it's a question whether he did that as well. Saying that, grab women by their P words. Saying even after the fact when that comment he made.
That 10-year-old girl that was up the escalator, he's like, I'm going to be dating her in 8 years.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like in the Access Hollywood tape when he was like, stars, they can just grab women by their vaginas, basically. Even after he was president, I think this was during the 2024 election cycle. They were like, oh, well, what do you think about that, basically? Is that true? And he was like, well, historically, stars have been able to do that. So he's unabashedly anti-woman, unabashedly pro-sexual assault. He clearly did that shit. And then... when asked about it, he has absolutely no remorse. He doesn't care. He would do it again. I'm surprised there's not sexual assault allegations just coming out of the White House. He's probably so old, his libido's probably lower.
Can't.
Yeah, he can't even do anything.
I don't think he physically can.
Yeah, even the most petite 5 foot 110 pound girl probably kick his ass. I don't think he can.
Yeah, for real, bro.
Yeah, I mean, where did the term rapist come from? It came from when he was found civilly liable of raping E. Jean Carroll. That's where it came from. And then all the other stuff. It's literally there.
I hate to bring him back, but I hated Kirk's defense on it. He was like, well, does it make sense that one of the richest men who could have any woman he wanted rape some random girl in some random store? Yes, it does.
Actually, they do it all
Rapists
the time.
don't have motive. They don't plan it. Well, some rapists plan it out because it's more of an obsession thing. But we've seen time and time again that a rapist will literally just be in the moment. Damn, this random girl at some random spot of a store. Even though I'm super rich or even though I'm super wealthy and I have a wife at home, I'm just going to rape this random girl. And it's been done before. So, yes,
Cosby,
100% makes
Feinstein,
sense.
It's
Weinstein, sorry.
Yeah.
It's like anyone could have said that about everyone in the Epstein files, too. They could get any woman they wanted consensually, but they still went after children.
Could they?
Probably.
Well,
I say no.
Yeah, money does talk.
Well, apparently not enough for Elon. You're so lame. You just can't get invited to that party.
Well, you did see someone, I don't think it was Elon himself, but someone was defending Elon of why he didn't go to the island. He said, well, obviously he wasn't interested in the girls because he could have any woman he wanted. He could have models and all these people that clearly wouldn't be interested in women. It's that could be applied to all of the sexual offenders.
Elon was like, I hear you have girls. You have girls. Let's go see the girls.
I'm in the area if you want to invite me.
And just actually we're shutting the whole operation down.
I just felt no amount of money can ever unlame you that badly. No. And then I'll see edits of people be like, oh, Trump really thought this guy was lame. And it'll be a meme of Trump sitting next to Elon. Because I don't know if you've seen those videos, but Trump does not sitting next to Elon.
No.
Anytime he's next to him, he's like, oh my God, this guy. So it'll be damn. Everyone will make edits of Trump's monologue being, damn, Epstein was right. This dude is lame.
I mean, I also would not want to be sitting next to the
guy who named his kid EX4.
Yeah, the guy, the super nerd liar who's constantly rolling on ketamine.
Yeah, he's getting high with Joe Rogan. Dude,
has 3 baby mamas, I think.
Oh, yeah, and
3?
His kids don't like him.
Try 103.
Yeah,
who?
Elon.
Oh. His little kids don't like him. All his partners end up leaving him eventually.
Yeah,
dude, he's just lame.
Next comment from 4OXOMOXO4. This gay AF. Bruh.
Yes, it is.
Can't wait to tell him half of the people there. No.
Someone said hot breadfruit 440 said all 15 of them. Do you see those pictures?
That made me so, because they said the same thing under my speech where I posted that reel. That made me so mad. Like, where there was, like everyone just kept saying, like, oh, all like 10 people, good job, bro.
They can't think of a single thing to say, so they look at the picture of over 100 people and say all 15 of them. Yeah. That's the best thing they could come up with.
Even if it was 15, like, it doesn't change the equivalency of these students got together and they spoke up. And to me, honestly, it would make it seem more impressive that if they did it to a smaller crowd, because that shows that despite numbers being against them, those students still came out and they still showed up. Like, honestly, even at that, we didn't have 15. We had like 100 plus. So, I mean, it was a pretty good rally, and I enjoyed everyone there. It was a good time.
Yeah, no, especially for, like, the size of the school and, like, being, like,
I was expecting 40, 50.
Yeah, no, like, that was actually pretty decent.
Especially for, like, the last notice that it was. We had, like,
yeah,
what,
no,
5 days?
I was very impressed. Let's get 200 next time.
For real. Yeah, 200 would be dope.
We had, like, what, 0.5% of Weber State, because Weber State has 30,000 kids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're getting there.
All right, this next one is from Nordic Daniel. Why is it that always the liberals are with dyed hair and piercings all around? They're like cartoons.
Because we look cool as fuck.
Yeah, they do. Even though I don't have all that shit, I think they look really cool.
To quote Epic Rap Battle, it was the Epic Rap Battle between Obama and Mitt Romney, and Obama says, you need to stop hating on gays, let them teach you how to dress.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, I think that's a pretty solid statement.
Bars.
Because we have the swag and they don't, other than Jared, but we don't need to talk about him. But yeah,
Yeah, he's got the gloves, the skull gloves.
I asked him, he doesn't drive a motorcycle. He drives like some random Corolla. I'm like, okay, so why are you wearing the gloves?
He's not cool enough to drive a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Don't hand on fucking Toyota Corollas, man.
And they're reliable cars.
Those are tight. Fucking love my
But
Corolla.
it just doesn't really match him.
Why do you wear gloves? Yeah. You don't need to wear gloves to drive.
Maybe he's germophobic.
He's phobic, all right.
Let's see. Wow, a whopping 0.05% of the student body participated in this protest. Really strong showing, bruh. We had a really good turnout for what it was.
Whether it be 1,000 people, 100,000 people, or 10, the equivalence is the same. It's still important that these students spoke out, that we stood there and spoke out.
Yeah, and again,
especially
this is also
in like red area Utah.
Yeah, this is also the first one we've had.
That's just
right?
true. The Democrat just got their ground.
Yeah, and so it's like, yeah, people aren't gonna know because they're not all following the same Instagram page.
That's true.
It's like, you know,
maybe we should like advocate the Instagram more.
Yeah, or just like put flyers out for like the next physical flyers
more of a
for
notice.
the protest. Right?
Yeah, it was pretty short notice that the Human Rights Club set it up. That's the only reason why we didn't do more of that.
Yeah, I wasn't frustrated, but I was like, this.
Or we could. What's the campus newspaper?
Signpost. Yeah.
They did a cover on our story. They liked it.
Yeah, I saw that, and it was great. It was great coverage. But like we could have Signpost putting out the notices before we have.
Yeah.
But that's just.
And then traditional,
there, like Kale, and who else is in the Signpost that's with us?
I know a few people from the
Signpost.
Signpost.
Kale and somebody else is also on the Signpost. They're like actively in the group me.
I'm not sure. But then traditional Ebb 4094 says, the left, the right, it's two wings of the same bird. Reddit in many places crack me up. Everyone's caught up in identity of labeling themselves right or left. They completely ignore what's right in the middle, in your face and very blatant. When will we as a people stop believing the BS narratives mainstream media's push? Complete bullshit, one-sided info the algorithms feed you. Wake up, use a little critical thinking, show some compassion and humility, and come together as a people. It's okay to take a break from the brainwashing. So why I hate this comment is so vague. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? What do you mean go into the middle? What do you mean by the middle?
And take a stand, maybe. Sure, yeah, you know. I agree with a lot of those things. We need critical thinking. We need compassion. We need empathy. Take a fucking stand and say, what do we need to have compassion for? The immigrants, the lowest among us? What do we need to have critical thinking about? The things that are being pushed by the essentially state-controlled government, state-controlled media that we have through Fox News and CNN. Well, not CNN, but, you know, you know what I mean.
And I'd like to highlight, I won't say her name, because it was her and her friends. They're all roommates, and I know them. Those people were some Republicans. I met them on like the first week of school last fall semester, and they were Republicans. And I remember talking to them about it, and then I see them at the rally. It's more than just Democrat and Republican. It's people recognize, ICE is geeking out of their minds right now. They are doing far too much. They're overexceeding their power, and they are just completely out of control.
I don't even know where the start of that argument came from. Like, we didn't label it as a leftist or whatever.
We were with the Human Rights Club.
It was an anti-ICE protest, and they're talking about having more compassion. It's exactly the root of what this is all about. It's having compassion for human beings regardless of their legal status.
Like, all the speeches highlighted that.
Yeah, and not literally my closing speech being like, hey guys, like, you know, like they're going to tell you you're not angry enough. You are plenty angry. What we need to have right now is love and compassion and building community.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't understand what their critique of our walkout is, because they commented that on this post, so presumably they're criticizing
to a
us.
bunch of college students.
Yeah.
Like, dude, come on.
Bot.
Yeah, it was probably a bot. Because then that account that left the hate comment on my reel, where I reposted my own speech, it was literally just like some random person who followed one random person who doesn't go to Weber State. And it was just like, wow, 15 people, you really showed them. I was like, okay, thanks, I guess.
And many people are saying it was the smallest protest there's ever been.
Quite frankly, the largest protest ever in Utah is humongous.
And then brief.
Claire, what do you think about it? Yeah, because you were there. How do you
She
feel
was
about
one
it?
of the commenters.
You leave one of those hate
Claire, are
comments?
you trolling us? Don't troll us, Claire. That's mean. Hurts my feelings.
See Claire's off camera. She didn't want to come talk.
All right,
today,
stand up so the camera can see.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah, we're good.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, Claire didn't want to talk today.
Okay,
so
let's stop bullying Claire now.
Okay, so then this thing, brief R2D2. Why did I mispronounce that? I'm a Star Wars nerd.
Arturito.
Next, they should protest that ugly fucking W on the mountain. I think it looks good. What are they talking
No, it's fire.
I think it looks
Protest the
good.
Also-
ugly W?
The W
the big
over there?
W.
Glowing one?
But also, like, we have so many letters on so many of our mountains.
Yeah, I like the
Like-
U that looks like heading down into Salt Lake. The U over there looks awful because it just looks like it was like a really bad font. But our W looks pretty cool.
Our W is cool and has
Yeah,
like
it's
solar
awesome.
panels on it and
Yeah.
all kinds of
It's actually
stuff.
super clean,
Yeah.
and it turns like purple when we win things. I like it. Why are we hating on it?
Because, again, they couldn't think of anything better.
It sounds like somebody
That's what they came
It
up
sounds like
with.
somebody managed to get like rejected from Weber, or like they applied and they got kicked out, and they were just like, "Oh, I hate Weber."
Someone said, pretty huge donkey said, isn't Utah supposed to be a red state? I mean, it can be a red state and we could still
It's
have
not
a very
supposed
strong.
to be anything.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know about supposed to be a red state.
Yeah.
I hate that idea. But
It's like,
I
not
mean,
anymore. Not with us
Yeah,
here.
not with us here. We're actually putting in some heavy work.
This
I
is
think
light
what they
work.
meant is supposedly a red state.
They
Although,
say it is.
to be fair, back in the 80s and like until like the 80s or 90s, Utah was a swing state.
Was it?
Oh yeah. Like I think people, and speaking as someone who is not Mormon myself, I think people really underestimate, like, Mormons aren't or haven't always been like straight Republican tickets.
Because the Mormon Women for Ethical Politics, right? Is that
Government.
They're really like progressive. Or
Yeah,
at least
and then
somewhat
there's like the Mormons with Hope, Mormons for Hope, who are like basically just like Christian socialists.
And
And
research.
the huge issues that kind of the main two issues that anger conservatives most nowadays are abortion and LGBTQ rights, and that's more of a recent thing, which is why they've kind of stuck to
Mind
that.
you,
But yeah,
Bible doesn't
back
say
then,
anything about LGBTQ people, doesn't say anything about trans people. The
Exactly,
one verse that says
yeah.
is man shall not lay with boy, and if they do, he should be stoned.
yep.
Well, and
That's
then
the only thing it says.
Trump
The
should read that
entire
verse.
book.
well, and then on just to take a very slight tangent, not that we need to be talking about the Bible all much, but like the context in which that is like the practices of sort of homosexuality at that time were either deeply exploitative or pedophilic, right? Which is like a very contextual thing that you need to have. It's the same way whereas
You need to know that. Like in Roman
Yeah.
history, you can like obviously they
Yeah.
like having gay sex was okay, but they didn't see it as being gay. They saw it as like a power thing.
Yeah, like
asserting your dominance over some other guy.
Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
wild, by the way. I mean, Romans were geeked.
They
And
were
Greeks,
fucked.
too.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah,
because they got it from the Greeks.
Yeah. Well, they did.
Bring me some Athenian femboys.
And then Senior Row 411 says, the only hate going around is from the left with fuck ICE chants and protests, which are really just them deciding to obstruct federal agents from doing their jobs. We didn't obstruct federal agents from doing their jobs. And then they said that's the only hate that's going
I must have
around.
missed the ICE agents that were there. I don't know. Did y'all see any ICE agents there? I saw cops, and you know what I heard? I heard, good job. I really support you guys.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
what I-
also
that's what I
not
heard.
in support of interfering with ICE operations personally.
Yeah, I don't think you should be standing up. Like, I understand being around the area, but it also could impede on the thing. But I really hate that because, again, I'm not going to say anyone. I won't say any names, but a certain leader of a certain club on campus said that Alex Preddy was, like, some mastermind criminal and that they had, like, that they were, like, doing all these different things and they were, like, an awful person. I was like, okay, well, what crimes? Well, stopping ICE agents, right, impeding on, like, their job. And I go, well, was he convicted of this? Well, no. Oh, so great. So he's innocent. Because we live in a nation where innocent until proven guilty. So he didn't do anything. He goes, well, no, we can see in the video. Okay, but was he convicted in a court of law? No. Then, okay, well, in my eyes, he didn't do anything then. He goes, well, that's just a leftist agenda. And I hate this idea that the left is more violent than the right. One, I think it's pretty evenly distributed. The radicals of both sides are really bad.
Statistically speaking, the right is responsible for more political violence.
Yeah. I think it's just violence in general.
This year, it's actually the left has committed a lot, more than they usually do. But as far as murders, I was prepping for a debate, so I had it, but I don't have off the top of my head now. But with the past few decades, Republicans have made up like upwards of 75% of all murders, like way more than that. Actually, I'm just being conservative because I don't have the exact numbers right here.
Yeah.
As far as terrorist plots and all that kind of stuff, they make up a huge majority of that as well.
Yeah. And I think to that point, it's important to recognize like that while sort of leftist violence, so to speak, has increased, it's increasing in response to objectively tyrannical actions by the government.
Yeah.
Whereas the sort of decades-long increase of right-wing violence has just been in reaction to gay people existing.
Yeah, like I had that argument with, do you remember his name? The guy who was like debating me for like an hour.
Yeah, Ashton.
Dude, I was so tired of that dude. But he was like making the claim that the BLM riots that happened were worse than January 6th. And so we just could not agree on that at all.
Wait, which Ashton? I think I might know this kid.
Some white kid, really strong jawline. He's 5'9", 10-ish.
Okay, no, different Ashton. There's this one Ashton. You know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna slander a man.
Okay, but either way, like he was just sitting there debating me on how the right or how the left was more violent. Ed brought up like, okay, well, one, a lot of the right will be very violent in defending Trump, which is a lot more than the left. And then I brought up how January 6th was, at least in my eyes, significantly worse than anything the BLM riots did. Because yes, while the BLM riots sure cost, what was the number, like 200 million-ish in like property damage, I still think fundamentally what had happened at January 6th and then the president pardoning them and then people thinking that was okay was significantly worse than anything that the BLM riots had ever did. Now, I'm not saying the BLM riots were okay, but a lot of the people who did those things were, again, captured, prosecuted, arrested, and charged for it.
And there's a big difference between, like, you know, a riot in a random street or riots in random streets across the country and a blatant attack against the seat of power in
insurrection on the Capitol.
Exactly.
Yeah,
literal insurrection against the Capitol. Like that those are two very different things.
It's a uniquely terrible thing.
You know, one of those things is, of course, illegal and destructive. The other is constitutionally punishable by death.
Sure. Being a traitor is.
So Utah Supreme Court rejects legislature's redistricting appeal. Court-ordered map still stands. This is from Utah News Dispatch. So yet again, the Utah Supreme Court has ruled against the Utah legislature in the state's ongoing redistricting legal battle. The state's highest court issued a ruling Friday rejecting lawmakers' attempt to overturn a district court judge's earlier decision in an anti-gerrymandering lawsuit that led to a court-ordered congressional map creating 1 Democratic district and 3 Republican districts. The plaintiffs in that district court case, the League of Women Voters of Utah, Mormon Women for Ethical Government, and a handful of Salt Lake County voters, had argued that the Utah Supreme Court should dismiss the appeal because it lacked jurisdiction since the case hasn't been finalized in district court. The Utah Supreme Court agreed, according to an opinion issued by the court's Law and Motion panel, which is composed of Chief Justice Matthew Durant, Associate Chief Justice Jill Pullman, and Justice Paige Peterson. Quote, Utah voters deserve fair representation and clarity heading into our elections, Catherine Beal, president of the League of Women Voters of Utah, said in a prepared statement reacting to the ruling. We are encouraged that the court dismissed this improper appeal and allowed the process to move forward without disruption to voters or election administrators. The League of Women Voters of of Utah will continue in our fight for fair maps for Utahns. One of the most vocal opponents to Utah's court-ordered map, Utah Senate President Stuart Adams, issued a statement Friday arguing that, quote, neither the Utah Constitution nor the U.S. Constitution empowers courts to impose a map that elected representatives did not enact. Once again, the chaos continues, but we will keep defending a process that respects the Constitution and ensures Utah voters across our state have their voices respected, said Adams, a Republican from Layton. The ruling rejected the legislature's appeal while also dismissing a request to block 3rd District Court Judge Deanna Gibson's earlier ruling that voided the legislature's 2021 congressional map. The court also denied another motion from Utah County Clerk Aaron Davidson to intervene in the appeal. Quote, because we dismissed the appeal for lack of jurisdiction, we dismiss both motions as moot, the Utah Supreme Court ruling says. So basically, Stuart Adams' argument that only the legislature can create maps and all that kind of thing, I think that it's interesting because I forget where it says here, but basically the Utah voters and all that, they have just as much of a right to reform their government and to create maps as the legislature does. That's basically what the proponents of this ruling are arguing. The judges basically said that the lower court's decision on the maps wasn't finalized yet, so they didn't want to jump into it yet. And they also said it's too close to the election. I believe that's also brought up in the federal lawsuit, which we're about to go into. But it just goes to show that they're really pulling whatever they can to not have fair maps for 2026, and it seemed like their last bit of efforts seem to have failed with this next one. And I just want to address real quick that argument, because I think that's the best argument against what we're arguing for, is that, in the Utah Constitution, it says the legislature creates the maps and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, when the legislature is completely corrupt and there's absolutely no way we're going to get a constitutional amendment in there to change that, you have to respect the will of the voters, especially because with the will of the voters creating a law under the Utah State Constitution, you should be able to make it compatible with what's already in the Constitution. So if they pass a law that says, Utah voters or that this independent redistricting commission is going to create these maps, but the map or the Constitution says the legislature does that. Okay, that's basically changed now. Now we need to amend it. That's what I would argue. Yes, according to the current Constitution, it is a little bit sketchy because it does explicitly say the legislature draws the maps. But I think that legality doesn't equal morality. And I think that if something really needs to be changed, we should do anything within our legal power to enact change. And that's what's happening, because the courts are agreeing with us that that anti-gerrymandering law should be upheld. And I think that's the right case legally, and I think that's the right choice morally speaking as well, because Salt Lake City deserves their own district. They deserve to be a community of interest. This is about keeping communities together. This isn't about, we think we deserve one congressional district or anything like that. This is literally about fairness, right? I don't think that people and their neighbors should be split up for political gain. But what do you guys think?
It's definitely a step in the right direction, and I think the whole reason we had such a big deal with this ruling was that Prop 4 is somewhat flawed, and the Independent Redistricting Commission is wasn't set out to where it's like super clear on the legality of everything, just like you were saying, which is why this whole thing happened in the first place. So it's good that we can see the map actually go through, and then in the future we can either make changes to the Independent Redistricting Commission or amend the Constitution, and so next time it won't be such a fiery event. Ideally, we would have amended the Constitution. Yeah. But then again, and I'll say this, people could call me power hungry or whatever, like with Biden, obviously, because previous presidents had done it, but his student loan program got struck down by the Supreme Court. And then he basically was like, I'm just going to implement this other program, which basically did the same thing. So he basically circumvented the U.S. Supreme Court. Am I that mad about that? No, because you have power and you try to use it to help people. That's exactly what we should be doing. It's like if there's flawed legal analysis and that kind of thing, because I'm what they would call
I think in constitutional law, it's called interpretivists, where you look at the Constitution and you try to see it in its best light and you try to interpret it in the best way. So, for example, like the parts of the Constitution, which I believe it's like the don't quote me on this, like the 4th, and then I think it's also like the 14th Amendment that has sections about privacy in it. And then the U.S. Supreme Court, in ruling on Roe v. Wade, they said that those sections of the U.S. Constitution about privacy guarantees a right to an abortion. So that's kind of a jump, but at the same time, you're looking at the Constitution in the best way. So if you look at the Utah Constitution, it's supposed to be about freedom. It's supposed to empower ordinary Utahns and all that kind of thing. You can look at the spirit of the Utah Constitution and say, no, this gerrymandering is unconstitutional because of looking at this Constitution and the way it should be looked at. But yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that because a major part of our legal system is based on that practice of common law, meaning the precedent is always changing. There's always it's a system that's inherently a work in progress. And so I think just because there's a contradiction now doesn't mean there's going to be a contradiction 5 years from now.
Yeah, personally, I mean, I might be a little more radical on this, but if the Constitution says, or at least the Utah Constitution says that the legislator is supposed to decide the maps and draw the maps, but the legislator then passes a law where someone else does it, I still see that as this legislator drawing the maps. They just had someone else do it, but it's still through those legislators. So, I mean, that's how I see it.
No, I do agree with that.
So, I mean, like, you can sit there and pout about it and say, well, you know, the only reason we don't support it is not because we like gerrymandering. It's not because we want to keep the House. Or it's not because we want to keep anything. No, we do it because it's against the Constitution. Well, I mean, yeah, if you want to interpret it that way, then technically it is still abiding by the Constitution. But I guess that's more of a little radical viewpoint.
No, and again, I do think because this is sort of a judicial proposition, if I'm not mistaken, if they really want to challenge it, I mean, take it back to the courts and then they'll overthrow you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not looking too well for them on their side.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so now I'll go into how the federal court has rejected it. But first I want to know, I think that's a cool point you made. Like, it is basically if the voters, if it's an independent redistricting commission, which was passed by the voters and all that, then it's kind of like the legislature doing it anyway, because the legislature is elected by the people. And if anything, it's way more fair, because then again, all of the state legislative districts are super gerrymandered. So your representatives on that level are not going to do anything about that. And then also, when you're voting and all that, it's much more direct. Since it was direct democracy, Prop 4, it's much more representative of the people since it was passed, rather than having all these gerrymandered districts and the people that come from them, like Trevor Lee, draw all these maps as if that's representative. It's like, no, that's not in the best interests of the vast majority of Utahns. But yeah, the federal court rejected the GOP-led effort to block the House map that helps Democrats in Utah. So new Utah voting districts to give Democrats an improved shot at winning can be used in this year's election, a federal court ruled Monday, while turning aside a Republican request to block the new map. The ruling marked the second setback in recent days for Republicans, who also lost an appeal at the Utah State Supreme Court. A Utah judge imposed the new districts last November after striking down the congressional districts that the Republican-led legislature had adopted after the 2020 census. The judge ruled that the legislature had circumvented anti-gerrymandering standards passed by voters. The ruling thrust Utah into a national redistricting battle being waged among states ahead of the midterm elections. President Donald Trump has pressed Republican-led states such as Texas, Missouri, and North Carolina to redraw their districts to give the GOP an advantage in the November elections, prompting Democratic-led states such as California and Virginia to respond with their own redistricting plans. Republicans currently hold all 4 of Utah's U.S. House seats. The new map imposed last fall by Judge Deanna Gibson keeps Salt Lake County almost entirely within one district, instead of dividing the heavily Democratic population center among all 4 districts, as was previously the case. It was submitted by the lawsuit's plaintiffs, the League of Women Voters of Utah, and Mormon Women for Ethical Government. Republicans have argued the judge did not have legal authority to enact a map that wasn't approved by the legislature. But a panel of 3 district court judges denied the Republicans' request for a preliminary injunction against using the new map in this year's election. The federal court said Republicans weren't likely to prevail in their argument and said it was too late for judges to intervene in the election. So that's what I said in another podcast. When it gets that close to the election, and that's also why it was kind of genius that Judge Deanna Gibson, she had time to make the ruling before she actually did, but she did it at the last moment because they take that into consideration. When they know that you're going to have to reprint a shit ton of new ballots, you're going to have to, the counties are going to have to certify the new maps again. They're going to have to, it's going to be this whole huge process if they threw out the maps, and it's going to create a bunch more turmoil when there's already been a decision that's been made. So they lean towards respecting precedent. So, yeah, and the filing period for Utah's congressional candidates opens March 9th. Party caucus are scheduled for March 17th, and state party conventions are to be held April 25th. Some candidates are already campaigning, the court noted. So then again, that goes to show they take into consideration what's actively happening politically. An active primary is ongoing, and the election has drawn too close for the court to get involved, the court wrote, while adding, the possibility of voter confusion is a considerable risk were the panel to enjoin the current election map. So, yeah, more good news for us.
Yeah, I believe we talked about this either last week or the week before, where we called it a Hail Mary, on where it was either you or Vaughan that said that Republicans were trying to do anything last minute and that it wasn't likely to go through and work out. Yeah, it wasn't likely to go through.
I think the GOP kind of argues that this new map by Deanna Gibson, or the one that she put through, is gerrymandered in the Democrats' favor, which is not really true. But even if it were true, this new map represents the people more accurately than their map. So, I think that's the most important thing. And also, by definition, it can't be gerrymandered if it represents the people accurately.
Yeah, and I think it's an entirely bad faith sort of argument to say, oh, well, this is gerrymandered because we have our major population center as its own district instead of being lumped into like our other rural areas. I mean, Salt Lake is like the besides Ogden and Provo, the major population center of the state, and I think it's ridiculous to have it sort of lumped in with what is it now? Or before was it like Heber?
So they were lumped into all 4 congressional districts.
Yeah, it was like split across.
Yeah,
like,
it was instead of being
I saw the map. It was wild.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's one of the worst ones I've seen. Like even Texas, like if you pull up like I think it's like District 16 in Texas, it's absolutely tragic. It's like random shapes cutting through neighborhoods.
Yeah, well, I mean even in Florida, I mean like all of Orlando is in Orange County, and that's astonishingly blue district compared to the rest of Florida.
Yeah, and with Utah, if anything, it's even easier for them because there's just Salt Lake in that one spot, so they just go whoop whoop whoop, and then
all right, it's great. Like it's so ridiculous that it's splitting across. Obviously, it's just Republicans not wanting to lose their seat. I wish they would say that. I wish they would say that and saying, "Oh, well, we're anti-gerrymandering. We want fair." No, you want your seats. Just like I'd prefer if they just like, "Hey, by the way, I don't want any Democrats to have votes in this seat." That's why. That's why.
I think that's a good point.
Like I wish they would say that, but they don't.
It's one district out of what 5?
4.
4. Yeah. It's like 1 out of 4. It's like you're still gonna have
3 seats. You still have the majority.
Yeah, you still have essentially super majority, in the state and federal Senate. It's like just take the fucking L and just let us have some representation.
I wish they would just say like, "Oh, I hate Democrats. I don't want you to have a seat," but no, they want to sit there and go around and say it's unfair. It's tiring.
Just wait till they think we're only going to get 1 seat, and then Peter Crosby wins, and then like, oh shit.
I hope so. I really like him.
So if we can move on, to the Olympics and all that.
Yeah. So Winter Olympics.
Let's go, Alyssa Lou.
The U.S. won 12 gold medals, which is the most we've ever won at any Winter Olympics, which is surpassing the previous record of 10, which was set in 2002 in Salt Lake. And the U.S. women's hockey team, which won gold against Canada, they were invited to the presidential State of the Union address tonight, which they declined. They said they're not going to go.
Gang shit.
The men's team decided to participate, and they're going to show up. So I think important to note here, just that despite everything that's going on, it is still important to be patriotic. And nowadays it's kind of for people on the left, people like us, it's kind of rare to find victories for the country to celebrate on, but for
the Olympics in my sort of perspective has always been like that one thing that we're gonna like have our own disagreements and we might be accidentally shooting at each other or purposely shooting at each other, but fuck every other country when it comes to the Olympics. Canada USA on top.
Huge L on that one. And I've this is the one time I've been tempted to say oh yeah, it's about time we get a 51st state.
No, that's like
absolutely.
No, that's like what did we who'd we beat at fucking cricket last Summer Olympics?
Pakistan.
We beat Pakistan,
number 3 team ever, and that was so out of
cricket,
random for the U.S.
It's like, you know what? We'll take that W.
Yeah, we're gonna call it ice football now. Okay, that's what it's called.
But yeah, the both the women's and men's gold medal games were really, really crazy.
They were good games.
Super fun to watch.
Good.
And the Jack Hughes, the guy who scored the overtime winner for the men's team for US, he took a high stick to the mouth he lost a bunch of teeth. He was out for a little bit and they put him right back in and he scored the winning goal. So that's a big reason why I love hockey. It's just like so brutal and they just love the sport more than anything and just get right back out there. So Mexican security forces have just killed El Mencho, who is the leader of the Jalisco cartel. After weeks of gathering intelligence and surveillance, they were aided by the help of United States, but no U.S. forces on the ground. Mexican military moved into his safe house to arrest him, where a gunfight broke out. They killed a bunch of his guards. El Mencho himself and a few of his closest guards escaped into the nearby forest, where they were then apprehended, and he was very injured. They attempted to airlift him to a military hospital, and he died in transit. And then the arguably more crazy or equally crazy, the events a few days after his death, the Jalisco cartel wanted to demonstrate their show of force and dominance and power over other cartels and the Mexican government themselves. So they carried out widespread violence and blockades, blowing up cars, setting buildings on fire, blockades of major highways across 20 of the 32 Mexican states. And Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has sent 2,000 soldiers to help stabilize the situation. And the reasoning behind all that is just to show, hey, we lost our head guy, but we are still in charge here for the country. And many tourists currently still are stranded at their resorts or whatever they're saying, because it is not safe to leave until things settle down. And then with the Jalisco cartel, just to kind of demonstrate how large they are, how powerful it's estimated it is a wide range, but they bring in about $8 to $20 billion a year, and most of their drug distribution is into the United States. And then I did look up about it said the majority of let me just pull it up here. So the U.S. Sentencing Commission consistently reports that the majority of people convicted of federal drug trafficking offenses are U.S. citizens, not foreign nationals.
And I think this just so perfectly and morbidly illustrates the entire U.S. Policy on drugs. The entire war of drugs can be summed up in this one event. We do not address our consumption problem. We do not address the very real conditions in this country which provoke people to rampant drug use. We have so much drug use in this country. I bet every single person in this room knows someone who is or has been addicted to some kind of hard drug, whether it be cocaine, whether it be methamphetamine, whether it be pills, whether it be something else. I bet everyone in this room knows someone or is familiar with someone who has had that kind of addiction, and we as a country do not address this. And what we do instead is we say, you sold it to me. You sold me the thing that killed Joe McCarthy. That's just a name. I don't know why that was the name that came to my mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow up your entire house, and if the fire burns your neighbor's house and everything else, it sucks to be you, right? That's the price you pay for looking like the people who commit crimes. Even though people who commit crimes are our own people, right? The U.S. policy on drugs, whether it's been in Colombia, whether it's been in Venezuela, whether it's been in Mexico, has always been, we're not going to address the issues that cause the drugs to come in here. We're not even going to try to stop the drugs from coming in here. We're just going to blow you the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, maybe it's a bit more on my side. I think we should just leave Mexico alone. I don't care too much. Like, just keep the trade with the public stuff. And I don't care about the cartels over there.
And even Claudia Scheinbaum, she says, no, we would love to have your help taking out these cartels. We don't want your boots on the ground. What we need is your intelligence. The U.S. has...
Because the U.S. doesn't give... Because, I remember, I think for that operation, the U.S. gave slight amounts of intelligence, and it helped them find him.
We basically gave them a heads up, like, oh, he's over there, right? We have such vast intelligence networks. I can't remember the guy's name, but the number 2 in Al-Qaeda. We hit him in the chest with a missile made of swords. Are y'all familiar with this story?
Is that the one where
Al-Zawahiri?
Yeah, he went onto his
where they didn't kill his family.
He went onto a balcony to smoke a cigarette, and we hit him in the chest with a missile with no warhead. We have the intelligence to know when this guy's going to go out onto his balcony and smoke a cigarette. We have the technology to put a warheadless missile into his fucking body, right? We have the intelligence apparatus to find the entire distribution networks, and rather than trying to dismantle them systematically, we're just going to do the most destructive possible thing, the showiest possible thing. This is one of Umberto Eco's pillars of fascism, is action for action's sake, right? We're not going to do things that are effective. We're not going to do things that are actually going to solve the problem. We're going to do the thing that's showy. We're going to do the thing that's the most dramatic, that's the loudest, that's the biggest, right? And and consequences be damned.
Yeah, me personally, I'm just like, I would leave Mexico alone. I'd leave the cartels alone. I'd keep the trade. I would focus here on the U.S. with these drug problems. I think if we had big reform on our systems, where we had rehabilitation programs where we had programs to put these people who are in rehabilitation, these homeless, into working force where they're still paid, but they can obviously work and own some things. I think that would be a great system here. And I have, I forget her name, but I had a friend back in Texas. She wrote this huge bill on how it could work. And I'm really for that. And I think we should address the problem here in the U.S.
We should, absolutely.
Because me personally, I mean, maybe it's more a bit radical, but I'm a bit of a more America first. I really don't care about these other nations as much. Yes, they're very important, and America shouldn't stand alone. We need our allies. But I think we need to focus here on our people first rather than having to deal with these other cartels. Like, yeah, the cartels are bad, but I'd leave them alone, let them do their thing. Let's focus here on the U.S. and stop things going on in here first.
My only thing is, I mean, I'll say something about the Al-Zawahiri getting killed and all that. I think that's a good point against Israel, that they were able to do such a clean kill like that. Why don't they just do that against the Hamas members? Why are they blowing up entire refugee camps and murdering a bunch of civilians? But then also,
because the point has never
it's
been
an ethnic cleansing.
Exactly.
It's an ethnic cleansing, and it has been an ethnic cleansing since
It's not about dealing with
1948.
Hamas. It's about Israel being a horrible nation.
And then the Mexican cartels, I want to agree that we should just leave them alone, but I have seen some videos I probably should not have seen about what the Mexican cartel will do to people.
It's very brutal.
I think it's fucked up, and I think, honestly, the cartels just need to be wiped off the face of the earth. And I don't mean that necessarily literally. I just mean that to say we literally need to stop them from operating no matter what possible. Yeah. I'm not saying obviously
we
nuke them or anything. I'm just saying, like, something needs to be done about that.
Yeah, and again, we have the infrastructure, we have the intelligence. We back in the 80s and 90s, we essentially trained the Mujahideen, which became Al-Qaeda, right? We could just give training to the Mexican government, be like, hey, this is how you track these guys, this is how you find them, this is how you take them out. Do that.
Yeah, let them do it.
Rather than, inciting all these rebel groups, inciting all this, incessant civilian on civilian violence, just be like, hey, Mexico, you need some help. We got you. We can provide you with training. We don't have to arm them. They already have weapons, right? Not to mention the fact that nearly every single weapon used by the cartel was purchased by through American manufacturers.
They have armored Humvees.
Like the fact that they have 50 caliber ammunition is because And like we're one of the only countries in the world that manufactures 50 caliber ammunition. Where do you think they're getting it from? Right? Like, we can, stand here and point the finger all the live long day saying, you're bringing us drugs, you're bringing us drugs, you're bringing us drugs. We're sending them guns and bullets and bombs and,
and we're buying the drugs.
And we're buying the drugs.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Yeah, and I think it is a positive though that the Mexican government can kind of demonstrate that they are still in charge. When the cartels, they do kind of run the country, and if they're able to successfully crack down and kind of stabilize their government and do away with corruption, and if they themselves as a nation were able to kind of lift themselves up, it would also help us as well.
So we have any closing thoughts before we end?
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for attending today's podcast. Thanks to Alexandria. Hadn't come on the podcast before, so that's lit.
Been lovely. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Yeah. So
you'll see me again.
Oh, yeah. All the time. Let's go. Okay. Yes. Have a nice day or night, everybody. See you later.